So vehicle spiking in Gauteng is increasing at an alarming rate. This past weekend, SAPS arrested 10 suspects in connection with road spiking. It's alleged that one suspect who attacked police was shot and killed. Now, road spiking incidents took place in the Tshwane district along the N1, the N4 and the R80 routes. Police are warning motorists to not stop for any objects on the road while driving. It's really important to remember that. Just how dire is the situation? Well, to answer that question, we bring in Motor Industry Staff Association Sonja Carstens. Sonja, a good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I think this is just the most frightening story, if you really think about it, or one of, rather, let's say that. Firstly, I think just to paint a picture of who's who in the discussion here, the Motor Industry Staff Association, your interest in the matter?
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers as well. MISA, the Motor Industry Staff Association, represents 65,000 members in the retail motor industry, of whom everyone from dealerships level all through the chain to forecourt attendants, that's your fuel attendants. So everyone replacing tires, having anything to do with a tire, they are our members.
Okay. And so I can imagine then that you'd be the right people to speak to about this spike, because essentially then it is the dealerships, it is the petrol, the fuel stations where people would run to immediately once they've had a spiking. Just how bad is the situation, if you'd paint a picture for us?
The situation is very severe. It used to be an incident here and there, once or twice a month. Currently, we have several incidents per week, all in the Pretoria surrounding areas. The route you've mentioned, the N1, the N4, we've got two N4s. The one is between the Proefplaas, as we call it in Pretoria, so the N1 all the way through to Middelburg. The other one is the Rustenburg-Brits Road. So the incidents are taking place all over. We had incidents in between Stormfoel and Safaku-Magatu the past week. That is normally a very quiet part of the N1. So it's taking place all over, especially on the R80. On the day that the police made the 10 arrests and they shot dead the alleged mastermind behind this, an ambulance also fell victim to the spiking incident. Although they were unharmed, they were very traumatized.
It's scary. And what's the modus operandi? Will you explain it for us?
Initially, the modus operandi was putting the spikes in the road, covering it with either an overall, a piece of plastic. So you would normally think that you're driving over a piece of paper, then your tires would go flat. So what we normally do if we've got a damaged tire is we pull off the road, put on our hazards, and then you're a soft target. They rob you inside your vehicle. Unfortunately, it does not only stay with robbing of the victims, they sometimes kidnap the victims to extort money out of them, to get you to withdraw your bank account for them, and they rape the victims as well. But the modus operandi changed because we've been warning motorists to continue driving for as far as possible. The criminals have now realized that a motorist is not going to stop at the scene, so with them hiding in the bushes, but the motorist will continue driving. So they are following you in a vehicle, and then wherever you have to stop, because you've got no alternative, that's where they attack you.
Sure. And I've seen now images as well being shared of not just the spikes that perhaps they'd cover with something and you think it's just a piece of plastic or whatever, but now they're also laying clothes on the floor?
They're laying clothes on the floor. So if you approach, remember it's usually at night, and although the highways are supposed to have lights and not be so dark, sometimes it's in the dark areas of the highways. So you think it might be a body lying over there, and you stop or you pull off the road. Yeah. And that's when they attacked you.
Okay, so you've mentioned quite a list of places, and it's an extensive list, and I know we may not be able to go through all of them, Sonja, but if we can try and touch on the biggest ones. You've already touched on some. I've got the little graphic on the screen there that shows some of them. So the N17, the N3, I know you may not be able to see them, but particular hotspots and interchanges that really stand out for you? We'll keep this up on the screen so that our viewers, if you can, take a picture of that so you're aware of the areas that, you know, you need to be more vigilant if you can, watching at home. But talk to us about some of the hotspots that really are top of mind. And I know you touched on them earlier, but some more, Sonja.
The N4, as I've explained, the Brits, Hartbeespoort area, that a whole intersection between the two toll gates, that's a big problem. The N4 between Pretoria and Middelburg, you can't actually say there's a hotspot because it's the whole piece of the road. The R80, that's the road going out to Soshanguve, especially there in the Roslyn area, that off-ramp, a very big problem. What they did is they are consistently changing the off-ramp. So this is not the same situation where we've got an organized crime syndicate, as the police are trying to make out, and that we should be rest assured that 10 people are arrested. This is a thing that people see it. There's a market for the stolen goods, the black market. You can get a few rand every night if you target several motorists. So the more incidents we report on, the more people we've got, criminals trying this, making spikes at home and actually trying this. So that's why we're seeing the increase. So it's very difficult to say where the next one will pop up, where the next route will be, but it's on the main routes. Why? Because they know that the police are very slow to respond on the main routes. The police tend to think that incidents will only happen on our more quiet routes, so they leave the main routes to SANRAL. SANRAL is unable to patrol these routes for these type of incidents. They are supposed to check out for accidents and obviously potholes and that type of thing. But late at night, any motorist is isolated and anyone can become a victim.
So what do we need to do long term here, Sonja? Because, you know, it certainly is one thing to talk about, you know, how police are responding, but we need a long-term preventative solution. I imagine that the call would be for more lighting on our roads as a first call. And then, I mean, can we even ask for more police visibility? Does that even make a difference, Sonja?
More police visibility, you're quite right. Obviously, as we do with cash in transit size, as we do with drug cartels, if we know there's a crime and there's hotspots and there's roads, we've mentioned 3 of the most important roads used by commuters, and we know the time frame where this is taking place, and it's at night. We can expect of the police to increase patrols. Not official vehicles, but unmarked vehicles, where they have crime intelligence, where they have people scouting in the bushes, police officials checking for incidents, and then responding as and when they are happening. Yeah. Like to do with cash and transport high. So quite an aggressive response will work in this case. That's the first thing. Secondly, we've got a very terrible situation in South Africa where the police commissioner, Minister of Police, Becky Cele, admitted in Parliament just this week that 14% of positions in our 10111 emergency call centers are vacant. We need to fill those positions urgently. From 2018 to date, 15 million emergency calls were dropped by the police. That's totally unacceptable. If you need them and you are standing alongside a road, they need to respond. And then secondly, educate the motorists. Firstly, if you can, avoid driving on the main routes at night. Rather opt to stay home or make an alternative arrangement. Drive in a group, drive more than one vehicle together, that type of thing. It's not always possible, so it's easier said than done, but that's one of the solutions. And then if you get spiked, drive as far as possible. When your vehicle comes to a standstill, don't remain seated in the car. That's the one thing police generals are warning. I spoke to some of them yesterday just to get a few tips for us. They say don't remain seated in your car. Move across the road, in other words, to the opposite direction, and hide in the field while you are phoning for help. Because if you're going to remain seated in your car, they will rob you.
Sure. Lots to think about, and we really appreciate those tips so that we've got the power back in our own hands as well. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Sonja. We really do appreciate it. To Sonja Carstens there with the Motor Industry Staff Associations, really warning us about the increase that we're seeing on vehicles spiking on our roads, so avoid driving at night, and some great tips really on how to stay safe if you are, of course, spiked. So do stay safe out there.